everyone. My name is Chandra Matthews, and I'm the Director of Programs at NextFifty Initiative. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this webinar and learn a little bit more about our grant-making opportunities for this year. I want to start by sharing a slide deck with you all so I can organize my thoughts and walk us through each of the funding opportunities that we'll have available this year, and talk a little bit about each of them so that you have the information you need. I'll start, however, talking just a little bit about NextFifty Initiative for those of you who may not be familiar with our organization and how we came to be. NextFifty Initiative is a Colorado-based private foundation supporting efforts to improve the lives of older adults and their caregivers. We were formed in 2016 through the sale of InnovAge, a nonprofit PACE provider. We were created as an independent nonprofit entity, but we retained the focus on serving older adults and their caregivers. And as part of our formation agreement, 80% of our initial corpus and any associated investment income is restricted to benefit the residents of Colorado. That leaves 20% as unrestricted. Since inception, NextFifty Initiative has primarily been a grant-making organization, and we always will be. However, as we've learned, grown, and evolved over the last 6 years, we set out this past year to really explore ways to diversify our impact within the aging and longevity space. Our recently released funding and investment strategy, which is linked on our website, I think does an excellent job of outlining the work that we did over the last year and tells you pretty fully how that strategy came to be, what that strategy is, and I want to talk through how it helped inform what we'll talk about here today. So this strategy is meant to serve as a mission-driven guide for our work and really help clearly articulate the ways in which we seek to make progress towards achieving our goals and realizing our mission and vision as an organization. We've established goals, we've defined strategies that will help us achieve those goals, and we've outlined the vehicles and tactics, that will help us implement this work. This graphic does a really excellent job of demonstrating how those strategies, goals, and vehicles all kind of work together. And as you'll see here, we really are focused on learning and evaluation, receiving input and feedback from the community, and making adjustments along the way. That's part of the plan, and our hope is to ensure that we're implementing the right things to make progress towards those goals and really see impact. So our 4 overarching goals are to improve the lives of older adults and their caregivers, strengthen the capacity of organizations serving older adults, support new and innovative approaches to aging, and reduce ageism. As we look at the strategies for how we'll achieve our goals, we really want to work to elevate issues related to aging and longevity. And obviously part of that is financially supporting organizations and efforts that are working to meet the needs of older adults and their caregivers. We also want to be intentional and promote equity by supporting initiatives that address the intersectional identities of older adults and acknowledge how those identities affect the way people age and access care. In addition, we want to identify and stimulate innovative approaches to initiatives that advance healthy aging and serve as a leading voice and influencer on the systemic issues impacting older adults. And as I said before, NextFifty Initiative will always be a grant maker. And we understand there are other ways that we can work to have an impact on older adults. So you'll see us exploring some new areas this year. Impact investing, which is really looking at how we invest the funds that we have and making sure that we're investing in initiatives that advance our mission and that are aligned with our mission. We want to more actively work in that policy and advocacy space, looking at some of those systemic issues and figuring out what our role could or should be in that space. We also want to continue opportunities that we've already created to convene partners, but we want to expand that a little bit as well and see who we can bring to the table to really look at how do we bring more resources into the aging and longevity space. And obviously, we'll be sharing out everything we learn with our community partners and utilize it to improve our work internally. So that's a little bit about the strategy. Now we can get to what you really came here to learn about, which is our funding opportunities. The first funding opportunity I'll present is the first one we'll launch this year, which is flexible support. This is not a new opportunity. We've done flexible support before, but we've made some adjustments. And while we're still focused on helping organizations make progress towards their goals related to improving the lives of older adults, this year, funding through flexible support will only be available to Colorado-based 501c3s, C4s, C6s, and governmental entities. This really is a nod to how we were established as a foundation, with the vast majority of our funding being restricted to benefit the residents of Colorado. It is also meant to provide support for ongoing programs that currently serve older adults. Again, this is a little bit different than what we have seen in previous iterations of flexible support, where it was much more broad. Now that we have multiple funding opportunities, we were able to focus this one in just a little bit more to offer some of that operational support for organizations who are serving older adults currently. And finally, you'll see here on my slide that this application opens on February 13th and closes on March 22nd. And that's a little different from last year as well. We had a rolling cycle of this application last year, which was open until funds were expended. And so given that we have additional opportunities, it makes more sense to have kind of a standing open and close date. We will make award notifications for this opportunity by mid-June. And similar to last year, these will be single year grants with a maximum of $150,000 per request. Next up is sudden and urgent need grants. This is what we're calling SUN grants. And while this opportunity is new, it's based on our community response fund from years past, or CRF. CRF was really designed to help support capacity of organizations operating in this space and to respond timely to needs that came up for organizations that may have been unexpected. Because we're addressing capacity issues within flexible support, we thought that this was a good opportunity to adjust this funding opportunity to really focus in on helping organizations meet one-time, time-sensitive needs that can't wait for a typical funding cycle. So those are things that don't reoccur every year, but might be unexpected and need to be addressed in a short period of time. This opportunity, similar to CRF, will again be limited to Colorado-based 501c3 organizations, and we're focused on smaller organizations with this opportunity as well, those with an operating budget of $1 million or less. This application will also open on February 13th, but it will remain open until funds are expended. We will typically make notifications of awards within 5 weeks of when the application is submitted. Again, we want to honor that this is a time-sensitive need that organizations have and really get those funds out as quickly as possible. These will be single-year grants for a maximum of $30,000, and you can only have one SUN award per calendar year. However, that does not preclude an organization from receiving a grant through another funding opportunity. The next opportunity I'll talk about is advancing innovation in aging. And again, while this is a new funding opportunity, it is based on something that we have previously offered, which is a grant making opportunity really focused on investing in newer ongoing innovative projects that really seek to rethink how people age and or how people think about aging. This is a much broader opportunity available nationwide to 501c3s, C4s, C6s, government entities, as well as universities. Application will open in May of this year, and award notifications will be made mid-October. Multi-year grants will be available through this funding opportunity up to 3 years, but we do ask that you speak with a program officer in advance of submitting a multi-year request. In addition, there's no maximum request amount with this funding opportunity. But again, if you're going to ask for more than $250,000, we require that you speak with a program officer so we have a good sense of what your project is. Next up, is advancing equity in aging. And this is an opportunity to provide financial support to organizations that serve and or seek to serve historically marginalized communities. NextFifty initiative has always had a commitment to reaching these communities and serving individuals who have not typically had access to care and service in the same way that others do. We have tried to be intentional, but I think now are being much more intentional in our effort to really reach out to organizations who are serving these communities. And recently we did a demographic survey with our grantees. Thank you if you participated in that survey. But we wanted to better understand who our dollars were serving and who was really being reached. And what we learned was that we didn't have the kind of representation that we had hoped to see. And so this is a really intentional opportunity to reach out to organizations that are focused on the following areas. So focused on serving populations of low income older adults, those living in rural or frontier communities, those in communities of color, the LGBTQ+ community, immigrants or refugees, and those with physical, cognitive, and behavioral disabilities. In addition, we want to create space for organizations that are led by people of color, including the organization's CEO or executive director, and or 51% or more of the organization's leadership team or board. If your organization serves two or more of those populations, or is led by people of color and serves one of those populations, you are eligible for this opportunity. This is also a broad opportunity available nationwide to 501c3s, C4s, C6s, and governmental entities. This application will open in June 2023 and will make award notifications in mid-November. These are also single-year grants for a maximum of $100,000. And again, these requests must intentionally focus on the marginalized aging or aging disabled populations age 50 and over, or the caregivers of these populations. So those are all our funding opportunities coming up in the new year. I hope that this is as exciting to you all as it is to all of us internally. And of course, we want to know if there are questions, because this is new, because it's a little bit different. We want to provide as much resource and information as we possibly can. I encourage you all to review the guidelines that are available on our website. Some of those are more detailed than others, you'll note, and they'll get more detailed as we get closer to the time when those opportunities will launch. So be checking back in our website and seeing what additional information will be there. We will also have additional webinars that will dive deeper into each of the funding opportunities about a week or so in advance of when that opportunity launches. So be on the lookout for invitations to that, or again, check back on our website and see when those are coming available. And as always, we want to offer what we call discovery calls with applicants and potential grantees. That's where NextFifty initiative staff can really provide guidance on your specific project or program, really help get you to the best funding opportunity for that program or project, and talk through specific questions if you have them. So don't hesitate to call 303-547-1800 or email info@nextfiftyinitiative.org to schedule a call. All right, that was a lot of information in a short period of time, but I hope that it's helpful, and I hope you'll utilize the other resources available to help give you the information you need to make the right choice for your program or organization or project, whatever you want to call it. Thank you so much again for taking the time, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.